Hey y'all, so welcome and welcome back to the channel. We are on week 3 of day 1, but I'ma just be honest with you. The first 2 days I did not get footage. Why? Because this is what I'm doing. I'm at work. I'm at work. I don't know how much more footage, I can give y'all at work. And to me, it's boring. So like if this is what you actually like to see, let me know down in the comments below and I can definitely post more work, more work stuff because that's 48 hours of my life at work. So, um yeah, y'all. I think it said 7 days left until my cruise. Y'all, 7 days left. Just a few months ago when I looked, I had like 94 days. Then it was down to 60 some days. Then it was down to 40 some days. Then, like once it got down to 30, I stopped looking because I was like, man, this ain't coming fast enough. So I stopped looking about after 30 days. Then I started to look again once it got on like 28 days. But overall, we only have about 7 days left. That is exactly 1 week left until we head out, y'all. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. I really don't even know how to feel because I'm really just overwhelmed with everything. Then on top of that, I got a whole balcony room. I'm fitting to cut up all the way up without no scissors. Well, y'all, this is pretty much it for right now. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell. And just stay tuned for the rest of the vlog. Okay, bye. Amani! Do you have a register on your side where the order taken is? It's not a register over there? Okay. Just wrap up the sandwich station. Just put lids on the stuff. y'all. So let's get ready to do some inventory counts. I'm in the freezer right now. The freezer at the moment is -2 degrees, which is really good. It's really good, but it's also really cold. If you know how to count, it'll only take 5 minutes. If you don't really how to count like that, you're gonna be cold before you leave up out of there. So that's the freezer. You're gonna see me go into the cooler. Now, I would honestly rather count the freezer than count the cooler. Only because, sometimes I gotta do stuff like that, take stuff out of boxes and then I gotta break down the boxes. Then it just make it a lot at the end of the night because why was only one pack of bacon inside the box anyway? But anyway, welcome to the inventory counts, y'all. But on a serious note, come closer. Come. Turn your volume up because I'm finna talk to you for a little bit. I don't know what day I am on the vlog, but I know I have a whole lot of content. A whole lot of content. Now, the reason why I don't know what day it is on the vlog is because when people wear hoodies, I'll put on the hoodie, I'll wear the hoodie again the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. Then, I'll wash it. I ain't about to go forever without washing the hoodie because it's still clothing. But I have on the same hoodie for like a lot of days. And I don't know. I don't know where they stop. I don't know where they start. I've tried. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. And what got it so bad is that, yo, I post a post on Sundays. I'm so confused in what I got on. It's Monday, y'all. I'm doing this voiceover and it's Monday, bruh. I'm a whole day behind. So I don't know if I'm like just getting overwhelmed because my vacation is coming up and I'm really ready to be away from work for a while. I don't know if I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know I don't know. I really just don't know. But I know I'm focused, but I'm not tuned in to like what's really going on because my time is winding down and I ain't got no suitcase packed. I don't got no outfits picked. I don't have no clothes packed up, y'all. And I'm not packing up no clothes without having new clothes to pack. I need new clothes, man. But I got so much time making these sandwiches. All I do is make sandwiches, make fries. But I'm grateful. I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. After I put in them 49 hours at work, I don't feel like getting off work and going to the store. Or when I gotta close and gotta be at work at 4 p.m. or 3 p.m., I'm not doing nothing before 3 o'clock, bro. 3 o'clock might as well still be considered the morning time. 3 o'clock is early. Like when you think about it, 3 o'clock is really early, bro. You go home, you go to sleep. If you got to be at work at 3 o'clock, you really can't sleep past 12 for real. It's like you ain't even, nah, 3 o'clock is a morning time. And then 3 a.m. should be considered the afternoon time. Because 3 a.m., I'm wide awake at 3 a.m. Heck yeah. But around at 3 p.m., I low-key still be wanting to be in the bed. Or maybe it's because I know I have to go to work. It also could be because I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then off Saturday, Sunday. Then work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So y'all Monday through Friday is not the same as a fast food Monday through Friday. Unless you already in fast food, your Monday through Friday is not the same. Because Monday through Friday in the fast food, yeah, it's only 5 days. But it's 5 repetitive days. So think about if you got a slow team or, not the strongest team. You carrying the weight for 5 days straight. 5 days straight. Now, I can understand work Monday, Tuesday, you off on Wednesday, work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then you off on Sunday. You see, I could probably do that. I know I could do that. I can do what I'm doing now. I'm just talking. But yeah, I don't be wanting to do nothing. I don't be wanting to do a darn thing. So I got a lot of footage. A whole lot of footage. Now, let's get to making these sandwiches. Both of those are son of a bacon iron. Do you need another double cheese? Yeah, I need another cheese. I didn't get that car through Christmas. I only got it on white. Oh, well, then they got to jump in and double. Yep. They'll be satisfied because if they come back, they only going to get one meat patty. Bruh, so let me tell y'all what's going on right here. I don't know what I was doing, but I was doing something. And I had seen it when I first came in. Up under the fryer, was a little bit of grease there. Not that much grease. That much grease right there was not there. It was literally maybe a teaspoon of grease. So one of my coworkers come to me and they're like, Coco, I think she said something about the grease thing. I was like, yeah, I noticed it. I said, Tristan to get it up at the end of the night. Okay. Next thing you know, about 20 minutes later, the fryer was asking me to filter the fryer. And it was like, filter now. So, I was like, yeah, go ahead and filter it. Bruh, as soon as I hit confirm, grease started going everywhere. Everywhere. Just everywhere. And I'm like, bruh, are you serious? It's all about the filter pad. It's all about the filter pad. But I was really like, bruh, are you serious, man? Like, bruh, it was so crazy. Like, crazy. We closed at 1:30. This happened about 12:45. It's time to go. And I gotta do this. This took about a whole 45 minutes to an hour to do. It don't seem like it. But it did. I was so over it. I think the only reason why I didn't spaz about it is because I was like, nah, I can get this for footage, bruh. This will make some good footage. So that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yo, this will make some good footage. Let them know that you work in the oil field and you come into your blue collar job doing this shit. You feel me? But yeah, that was really what pushed me through was my little subscribers. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all pushed me through because I was like, I need it for footage. Ain't no point in getting mad. You need it for footage. You told them this is part of your everyday life or, work with me. This is part of work. I don't do this part every single day. I ain't ever had to do this here at this location. At Waxhaw, had to do it a few times. Which I also think, now since I'm talking, is why maybe it didn't bother me the way I guess it would have if it was the first time. So I knew what to expect. And like I said, like this is not part of what I do every day at work. I do my counts and I'm out of there. I do my counts and I'm gone. They worked me so hard. Oh God, they worked me so hard. That grease, like I said, it don't look like a lot. But I called out the next day. Sure did. Okay, y'all. So we on the next day. Called out of work. Feel real good. Yeah. I'm in my city, Gastonia, North Carolina. Exit 17 will always be my home. If y'all know anything about Gastonia, then you know Shrimp Boat is a well-known local restaurant. Now, I go to Shrimp Boat and I get chicken gizzards. I ain't going for no chicken. I ain't going for no fish. I want a chicken gizzard meal, large, extra crispy fries. And I really don't care for them hush puppies, but if I eat them, I eat them. But let's pull up in the Shrimp Boat parking lot. Also, we're going to do something kind of new. I'll say this again in my video. We are going to listen to a podcast while I drive. Yeah, so let's stay tuned for that, y'all. I'm really excited about it. So I got a chicken gizzard plate from Shrimp Boat. Let me show y'all everything that come on it. I'm on the way back to the house now. So the tortoise house came with my shrimp boat food, but I'm in traffic. I'm back and forth out of traffic. So we'll just listen to a podcast and y'all gonna watch me eat my food, my chicken gizzards and my french fries. I don't really like hush puppies like that, so I might not eat those. But I got some hot sauce, ooh, and I got some tartar sauce. And let's listen to a podcast. So come on, let's do something new. And this time, we're gonna get funky.
ChillingCrimes.com, EntertainmentNow.com, Vocal.media, SpectrumLocalNews.com, BBC.com, CBSNews.com, and PressConnects.com. We've seen this scenario happen a lot on this show. Someone knows they're about to get caught for a crime, and before an arrest warrant is issued, they hop a plane. Maybe they set off to Europe, Asia, somewhere deep in South America, only for police to realize there is no way they're getting that person back, because many countries have complicated extradition policies, which means there will be no trial in the United States unless that person willingly steps foot on American soil again. It's a heartbreaking loophole that allows many criminals to get away with their crimes and leaves families feeling hopeless when it comes to getting justice. Well, today's case is not one of those stories. Instead, it's about two countries actually coming together to fight a complicated legal battle, working in unison to get justice. So let's travel back to 2018 and meet 22-year-old college student Haley Anderson. Now, Haley grew up in Westbury, New York, about an hour east of New York City in Long Island. She was the kind of girl who seemed very close with her parents, Karen and Gordon, and her older sister, Madeline. Now, they described Haley as hardworking, compassionate, extremely outgoing, and a free spirit. She's friends with everyone, she sees the good in everyone, and just wants to help everyone. Which was why Haley was thrilled when she was accepted into the Binghamton University's nursing school program. And I'm sure it came as a shock to no one, though, because Haley was a straight A student growing up across the board. However, going into the nursing program meant Haley would be putting in 5 years of schooling rather than your traditional 4, but she didn't seem to mind. She was only a few hours from home, so she could make the trip back to see her family whenever she wanted, now that she's, going off to college. So she had a job once she moves there at the on-campus coffee shop, and she actually works here for 3 years, where she ends up meeting even more students, she makes even more friends, and she eventually in college gets a boyfriend that she cares a lot about. It's a fellow student named Kevin Ocampo. Now, everyone felt Kevin and Haley were a great match for each other. He really allowed her to be her best self. He never tried to change her. Like a lot of relationships in college, the two were unsure whether or not life would lead them down the same path. Haley already had a job lined up for when she graduated in the spring of 2018. The plan was to return to Long Island and work in the emergency room at Northwell Health. And while I'm not sure what Kevin's plans were, I can tell you that they didn't really seem to align with Haley's moving back to Long Island and working there. Because over the course of their college experience, the two of them actually were kind of on and off. Kevin claimed he really was in love with Haley and saw himself being with her, but Haley wasn't as sure. There was still a part of her that wanted to just live life, go out and date, have some freedom, and enjoy being young before she settled down into her serious job and a serious relationship. Which is why during her last year of school, her senior year of college, Haley started seeing other people. And meanwhile, she began studying for her nursing boards and soaking up the last few months of college with her roommates and best friends. These girls were named Josie Artin and Michelle Topoli. Now, the three of them, Haley, Josie, and Michelle, were extremely close. They were the kind of friends in college that you tell everything to. And they said Haley was supportive and sensitive, just an amazing friend. which was what made what happened that March in 2018 so incredibly devastating. On that night, March 8th, Haley, Josie, and Michelle, the three best friends, stayed up late into the night drinking and playing board games. Around 3 a.m., the girls finally called it a night. But when Josie and Michelle wake up later that morning, they realize Haley still isn't up and out of bed. So they end up checking her room and discover that she's not in bed. Now, to Haley's friends, this isn't too alarming. They're all adults. They sleep away from the house from time to time. They figure maybe Haley just went to meet up with someone late and spent the night there instead. So the day goes by, and that evening, Josie is doing a poetry reading at a local bar. And this is a big deal to Josie, and Haley knows that. Her two friends were going to come and support her, including Haley. But then that evening, she doesn't show up, which is totally unlike Haley. And it's alarming because she's not answering any of her friends' texts or calls either. And maybe even stranger, she hasn't been active on social media all day. So that's when Josie and Michelle turn to the Find My Friends app on their phones. They discover that Haley's cell phone is at a friend's house, someone she had been seeing casually, named Orlando Tesoro. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mr. Orlando, okay? He's a 22-year-old nursing student, just like Haley. He was born in Miami, Florida. He was actually raised in Nicaragua, where his family was still living. So he had dual citizenship in both countries. His dad was a prominent doctor there, so Orlando always wanted to follow in his footsteps and go into the medical field, which was how he even landed in the nursing program with Haley. They had met during her sophomore year, though the two were just friends. Over time, though, particularly after going on and off with her pretty steady boyfriend Kevin, the relationship between Haley and Orlando became more romantic. At first, a lot of people felt like Orlando and Haley had a lot more in common. Both were excellent students. They both seemed compassionate, understanding, and they liked to have a good time. However, there was one thing that made it a little bit more complicated, and that's that Orlando and Kevin, Haley's ex, were in a fraternity together. In fact, Haley was the one who originally introduced Orlando to Kevin, and he liked Orlando so much that he invited him to pledge. So, Kevin is shocked when he hears that Haley and Orlando have been seeing each other when him and Haley are in an off point.
Okay.
But he also knew that Haley had made it clear to Orlando that she wasn't looking for anything serious, especially with graduation coming up. And while Kevin didn't seem to make it a thing, it appears his frat brothers were pretty annoyed with the situation. They thought it was annoying for Orlando to not have a loyalty to Kevin, his fraternity brother. So once they heard that Orlando and Haley had started seeing each other, they actually decide to kick Orlando out of the fraternity.
Bros? Never mind.
Anyways,
Can't
so
say that.
Orlando doesn't seem too bothered by it. I guess to him, maintaining his friendship and relationship with Haley seemed more important. It's now the morning March 9th, 2018, and Haley doesn't show up to that poetry reading, and her friends see that her cell phone's at Orlando's. So they give it some time before panicking, because this is obviously a known place to them. Though they do try to reach out to Orlando, and he's not answering his calls or texts either. In fact, another friend of Orlando's also hasn't heard from him or Haley in a day or so. But his theory is this: he thinks the two of them ran off together and eloped. However, Orlando's sister thinks something totally different. She says that she had received a strange message from her brother. So essentially, these two nursing students who are dating are both missing. So on the morning of the 9th, Orlando's sister calls police to go to his house to do a welfare check. Now, when police show up and knock on Orlando's door, they notice his car isn't in the driveway. No one seems to be home. So they leave without going inside. But later that same day, around 1 p.m., Josie and Michelle are now really worried. It is not like Haley to go this long without calling them or making contact. So they decide to take a ride over to Orlando's house too. This is just a few hours after police leave.
I was going to ask if they still have her location, but maybe you don't know.
No, it is at his house.
Oh, okay. So location's still live and active.
Yes.
Okay.
But, so they show up, they're like, okay, his car isn't in the driveway. But they decide to get out, start knocking on doors. Now, when that doesn't work, these two girls spot an open window to his apartment.
Let's go.
Josie boosts Michelle inside, and she climbs in herself.
The good friend.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Might be breaking and entering, but
Nah, it doesn't count.
in the sake of saving your friends.
Yep, doesn't count.
So Michelle gets inside, she's calling Haley's name, and that's when Michelle screams back to Josie to call 911.
Oh no.
Because lying on Orlando's bed is their friend Haley. She's naked. She's partially tucked under his covers. She's pale. She's motionless. Now, when first responders arrive moments later, they do confirm that 22-year-old Haley is dead in Orlando's bed. And after her autopsy is performed the next day, her cause of death is ruled as asphyxiation by manual neck compression.
Wow. Okay, and Orlando's obviously not there.
So back at the crime scene, there is one very telling clue about what had gone down. It's actually a note that was left from Orlando that was written in Spanish. And when translated, the note reads, quote, "I'm really sorry about this. I never felt I could be capable of doing this.
Oh my.
Father, I will see you soon." So,
oh my gosh. So he's obviously going to go back to Nicaragua, right?
let me back up just a little. As I mentioned, Orlando's sister had received a strange text from him on March 9th, which is why she even called the cops saying that he was also missing and asked them to do the welfare check. That text said, quote, he had done something bad and was now a disgrace to the family. So I'm not sure if it was these specific texts that made her panic or if it was something else, but when a member of your family sends you something elusive like that, it's gonna freak you out. So that's the first very big clue that Orlando did this to Haley, despite the fact that she's dead in his bed. But Orlando himself is nowhere to be found. And what went down between him and Haley is still a mystery, but luckily there's security camera footage at Orlando's apartment that helps piece the story together for cops. And here's what it shows. At around 3:15 a.m. on the morning of March 8th, so this was after Haley and her friends had had their night with board games and the two went to bed, Haley decided to go over to Orlando's house.
God, how do you just kill someone?
They are shown entering together right around the same time, and Haley looks to be willingly entering the home with him. But 7 hours later, Orlando is seen leaving his apartment, and this time he's alone. He moves some stuff away from his driveway, and then he pulls his car out and takes off. They track him and learn he went to a local pharmacy and got NyQuil and melatonin, sleep aids. And the footage shows him arriving back at his apartment. He goes inside and again doesn't come out for another 7 or so hours. And when he finally does, he heads towards the apartment complex's basement. Now, when police went down there to examine what he had possibly done down there, they find something pretty telling. Hooks and a rope. It looked like Orlando had gone down there to attempt suicide.
Okay.
But there is also some blood on the floor, as well as other evidence that suggests he seems to have fallen in the process and hurt himself. And that is actually where they find the note he left. The one that says, "I'm sorry."
Okay, so he was saying sorry because he was going to unalive himself.
So, because...
I assume.
Yes, because he says, "Father, I'll see you soon," but Orlando's father had passed away 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
So yes, the note was originally a suicide note.
Oh, okay.
We also think the sleeping aids were probably purchased to aid in this attempt as well. But this still doesn't answer their lingering questions because this obviously was a failed attempt. So where did Orlando go? And what could have happened between him and Haley to even motivate this murder? So as police are trying...
My credit score sucks. I keep getting denied for things I need.
Yeah, that was before you found Ava.
What's Ava?
It's how
track Orlando down, they begin speaking to Haley's friends and family to see what they know about this relationship.
Not coming over here.
And they realize quickly Orlando was a lot more committed to Haley than she was to him. Apparently, almost from the beginning, Orlando was jealous of Kevin and the relationship he had with Haley. When she was single, he won her over with sob stories about his life. And Haley is very compassionate. She wants to help. She wants to be there for Orlando. But then their relationship becomes more romantic, and Orlando's obsession with Haley apparently grew out of control. He began showing up at her house uninvited. Sometimes he refused to leave even after being asked to. Other times he would show up and smoke a cigarette on their porch. He would drive past the house slowly to see if Haley was home. Josie said she was often the one who would have to tell Orlando off because Haley was too nice. She didn't want to hurt his feelings. Then there was a night on September 15th, 2017, when Haley and Kevin showed up to a party at Orlando's apartment together. And at that party, they announced that they were back together. Haley told Orlando that night that things were obviously over between them. They couldn't keep seeing each other romantically, but she wanted to remain good friends, and Orlando freaked out. That evening, several people saw Orlando shouting at her. Then the following day, after spending the night at Kevin's, Haley went out to her car to find that all of her tires had been slashed.
Oh my gosh.
Now, Kevin
This
and
dude
Haley
is crazy.
both knew it was Orlando, but he denied it. And when Haley's parents suggested she file a police report and press charges, she said she didn't want to because the damage was over $600, so it would have been considered a felony, meaning Orlando could have been kicked out of the nursing school. And Haley was like, I don't want to do that to him. Instead, Haley put some distance between her and Orlando for a while, but eventually he kind of weasels his way back into her good graces. Some think it was because Haley felt guilty, mainly for getting him expelled from his fraternity and then getting back together with Kevin. Others said that Orlando would threaten her emotionally, saying he was going to self-harm if she wasn't there for him.
I am, how do I say this? I hate that. I feel like that happens a few times in some of the cases we do. And that's just not okay.
Yeah.
That's just extremely selfish and just...
Listen, I understand love can cause really intense feelings, but putting your life in someone else's hands or on their shoulders is manipulative.
Selfish. It's selfish is what it is.
Just a line we shouldn't cross.
No.
So by March of 2018, it seems like Haley was kind of nearing the end of her rope. She was reportedly telling her friends she just wanted this friendship to be over with Orlando. So the police start to wonder, did Haley go over there that night to finally just have a talk with Orlando and say, hey, like, we're not friends. You've taken it too far. We can't even be friends now. And if so, that is what happened. He clearly didn't take it well. So even though the police think they have their motive, there's still one problem. Orlando is MIA.
I mean, he could easily be in another country by now as well.
Well, luckily, the footage from his apartment offers a slight indication of where he went next, because after his failed attempt, he's seen on cameras getting into his car with luggage.
Yep.
So police are like, he's obviously on the run, and they begin checking local airports. Pretty quickly, they find that Orlando had driven 3 hours to JFK International Airport in New York City. They actually spot him on security footage there walking around with a bandage on his head, which confirms their theory that he probably injured himself. And it doesn't take much for them to figure out where he went. At 8:40 a.m. on Friday, March 9th, he boarded a plane to Nicaragua. Remember, Orlando has dual citizenship from growing up there. It's going to be a huge problem for police because he is a citizen there, and the authorities in Nicaragua don't have to extradite him back to the U.S. It's their discretion. They get to decide what to do. So police are like, well, that's it. He got away with murder. When Orlando lands in Nicaragua, his mother picks him up from the airport, clueless as to why he's even there. She drives him 3 hours north to their hometown called Shenanigans, and for the next several days, that is where Orlando stays. Meanwhile, U.S. officials are putting everything together, realize that he did this, and they're trying to get in touch with authorities in Nicaragua. Because on Sunday, March 11th, the police department officially names Orlando their #1 suspect in Haley's murder. Now, It's clear at this point Orlando is feeling the heat because just 4 days after his arrival in Nicaragua, he makes another suicide attempt. This time, his mother drives him to the city of Leon, about an hour south, to get him help, check him into a psychiatric hospital. The thing is, though, by this point, the Nicaraguan authorities had been in touch with American officials because obviously they got a hold of him, and they tell them, yeah, we're willing to help you investigate to an extent.
Oh.
Haley's story had actually been on the news in Nicaragua because of all of this. And it seems someone working at the hospital recognized Orlando after he was admitted and reported it to the authorities. So on March 13th, 22-year-old Orlando was arrested by police at the hospital. Now, this is something that we've is probably a newer age thing. You probably used to be able to flee America and it would be easier to not get spotted.
Yeah, well, and also everyone talks about it. I also think the authorities, when it's like a pretty big charge in other countries, they help a lot more than they used to as well.
Or gained a lot of attention.
Yeah, and so it's definitely a newer thing, right? I feel like we used to say growing up, oh, they can flee to Mexico and get away. I mean, yeah, sure, there's a chance of that happening still, but
it's a lot harder.
Things have changed, yeah, with technology and everything going on. It's a lot harder.
You're able to track probably where they went.
And then
with social media, I mean, people in that area now can know that, hey,
also, yeah, people don't want to kill her around them.
No.
So if it's on the news, someone's like, wait, that person just killed someone. I don't want to die.
Back in the day, you had to hope that somehow the wanted poster was up in the bulletin board. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yep.
So on March 13th, the 22-year-old Orlando was arrested by police at the hospital, and by Saturday, March 17th, prosecutors in New York had filed formal charges against Orlando, murder in the second degree. But now the question was, how would his fate be decided? Would the authorities work with the U.S. and send him back to the country to withstand trial, or did Orlando still have a chance of walking free? Well, as this was all being determined, Haley's family back in New York laid her to rest about 2 weeks after Orlando was caught. And then 2 months after that came a day that should have been one of the biggest in Haley's life: graduation. Instead of walking on stage, accepting her diploma, going off to her new job, a seat was dedicated to Haley with a framed picture of her in her place. Haley's father, Gordon, walked the stage and accepted Haley's diploma in her honor. And meanwhile, the Broome County DA, Steve Cornwell, holds out hope that Nicaraguan authorities will extradite Orlando to stand trial. Now, another year and a half passes as they try to iron out the details, come to an agreement with international officials. And then finally, in September 2019, Cornwell receives word and he tells the family, there's good news and bad news. Bad news is Nicaragua refuses to extradite him.
Oh.
Good news is they're going to press charges on him down there.
Why? What? Why?
Countries.
It doesn't make sense. Like, who cares at that point?
They said, we'll just charge him here and put him in prison here.
Yeah, but how much can you trust that? I mean, maybe they will. And also, I think I'd rather be in prison in America than Nicaragua or like in other countries. I've heard some of the other countries' prisons are pretty...
Shut up, Garrett.
Pretty scary.
Well, the courts and laws work a bit differently there, as you might imagine. For example, there's no jury. It's just a judge. And they aren't charging him with second-degree murder. Instead, with something we don't even have here in the U.S., femicide. The murder of a woman with whom the perpetrator specifically had a relationship with. So, domestic relationship.
So we kind of have,
And unlike in the U.S., Orlando will not be required to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. The hardest part was that the American prosecutors would have no say in this trial. However, they did allow them to participate. 8 days before the trial began, the DA's office was asked to assist the prosecutors in Nicaragua and help facilitate the testimony for the witnesses back in the United States through the use of video conferencing, which meant Haley's friends and family would testify on behalf of her. So on October 1st, 2019, Orlando's trial began. The prosecution made the case that Haley had entered Orlando's home willingly on the morning of March 8th, 2018. Haley likely told Orlando she wasn't looking for anything serious, and that sent Orlando into a rage. When she went to sleep that night, they believe Orlando strangled her to death, because if he couldn't have her, no one could. which, by the way, would make this first-degree murder. The first person to take this stand for the prosecution is Haley's mother, Karen, followed by 17 other witnesses, many of whom testify about Orlando's jealousy that he showed in the United States, his obsession with Haley. They also spoke about the incident where he slit her tires, showed video footage of him entering his apartment with Haley, but her never leaving. So you can clearly see how important it was that the judge got to hear from these witnesses who knew Haley and Orlando back in the US, because so much of this was pretty circumstantial. But of course, the defense had their own version of events. They argued that Orlando had no recollection of the events. He woke up, he found Haley dead on his bed, and had no idea how it had happened. And that's because Orlando was strongly under the influence of alcohol and was temporarily insane at the time, according to his defense team.
By the way, just temporarily insane. Just for like a moment or two when she died, and then he's back to normal.
He's like, now I gotta clean this up.
What? I'm gonna start using that. I'm sorry I did that. I was just temporarily insane.
They say Orlando has no history of violence, and this probably was provoked by Haley. So they blame Haley's murder on Haley. However, the defense only called one witness to testify on Orlando's behalf, and it was a psychiatrist. The doctor noted that Orlando had tried to die by suicide twice after the murder. They also mentioned he suffered from epileptic incidents. But on the other hand, they said they couldn't verify what Orlando's state of mind was during the murder, whether or not it was true. He had actually blacked out from drinking. He was temporarily insane. They said it didn't appear that there was anything wrong with Orlando's current mental state. So it almost seems like the defense's one and only witness almost helped the prosecution.
Yeah.
Then, after both sides rest, the judge did something we never see here in the United States. They let Haley's family give a final word. They're like, would you like to say anything?
I feel like, I guess testimonies.
For victim impact statement.
Yeah, yep.
But this isn't a victim impact statement. This isn't sentencing. This is just
interesting.
A trial, basically. Mm-hmm. Karen says this, quote,
Haley was a beautiful, intelligent, and friendly girl. She was an aspiring nurse and had her whole life to look forward to. She was and still is my best friend. So thank you for listening and letting me speak on behalf of my daughter.
After a small break, the judge came back with the verdict the same day. And during the judge's speech, she detested violence against women and said everyone deserved equal rights, and that Orlando disposed of Haley because she was a strong woman who had made a choice for herself. She ended it with the verdict, guilty of femicide. Afterwards, the judge let the family say a few words to Orlando, and that's when Haley's father came forward and said, quote, I want to leave you with this. I saw an endearing photo of you and your mother hugging each other, and my heart breaks for her, it truly does, because you stole from your own mother. And even though she has unconditional love for you, every time she hugs you now, she will get a glimpse of that monster within you, and she'll know that one day you might get out. Orlando said nothing in response, and 2 weeks later, he was given his sentence, 30 years in prison. This is the maximum punishment for femicide in Nicaragua. And while some might have hoped for life behind bars, the DA in the case, Steve Cornwell, said it was more than we ever imagined he would get.
Yeah.
He told the press, we saw something we haven't seen before, and it was really two governments working together, law enforcement agencies working together instead of fighting each other. Says that alone is a pretty big win. As for
If you're someone who loves thrifting or secondhand clothing, you need to start shopping on Whatnot. I'm telling you guys, it is bleach.
Orlando, he continues to fight his charges. In February 2020, he was back in the courtroom to appeal his conviction.
Get out of here, dude.
His attorney argued that he was highly intoxicated at the time. They were doubling down on the he doesn't remember anything. And this time, they had another psychiatrist evaluation, and they were like, we want this psychiatrist, who, by the way, is seasoned in insanity defenses, like that's his expertise. The panel's like, yeah, we don't want to hear from him. Next. So they don't even let him come in. Orlando's team also said if he was tried in the U.S. under second-degree murder charges, as initially was said, he would have received a lighter sentence than 30 years. Now, we know that just because someone starts with second degree doesn't mean it doesn't get changed to first degree before trial. Oftentimes it happens once more evidence is brought to the table.
Yep.
They asked the court to reassess, and they were like, okay, we'll consider it. So the following month, they drag Haley's family back into the courtroom virtually to say why they believe he shouldn't get out, and Orlando's appeal was denied, which means his sentencing of 30 years stands. But that might not be the end. If he is released and steps foot on American soil, they said they will charge him again here. But no matter how many times Orlando stands trial, and no matter how many countries work together, there's no bringing Haley Anderson back. And that's the hardest part of all of this. It's a win that there was an example of countries working together, but at whose expense? Haley's?
Yeah.
This just shouldn't have happened in general. And that is the case of Haley Anderson.
Oh, senseless murder I will never understand. Murder, killing someone in general, I will never, ever, ever understand. Not okay. It's just not okay to kill people. Not sure when. I don't know. Just not okay to kill people. End of story.
You know, this could be a hot take, but I actually do believe there have been times in history where someone has blacked out while committing murder. I don't think this is one of those times.
No, it's a complete liar. Get out of here.
I think it's just, well, I'm sure you dissociated from it afterwards.
Yeah. Nope.
But you knew what you were doing.
I was gonna get me an ice cream cone,
and we will see you next time.
but it's taking them dang on
Goodbye.
forever just to get people that I don't even think got ice cream. So you know what? Keep your ice cream, Chick-fil-A. Just keep it. And you need to pay attention, because where are you going? These people done made me mad. I'm just ready to go home now.
Today I'm going to share with you
Shut
a
up.
good old-fashioned cabin in the woods.
Good morning, y'all. So it's another day in the vlog. Welcome and welcome back. Yeah, so I don't know what I want to do today. I'm in the car, I'm ready to go, but I don't know what I want to do. So let's just see what I'm gonna do. I'm thinking about doing like some fall decor and stuff like that. So let's go to Target. If it's a Hobby Lobby in the area, we'll go to Hobby Lobby. But I'm not doing Hobby Lobby and Michael's. I'm not doing both of them. I don't mind them stores, but for some reason they remind me a lot of like Lowe's and stuff. I'll be ready to get out of there. Like, I don't know why. I just be ready to get out of there. So I just might not even go. I don't even know yet, but we definitely going to Target. I want to look at their candles and stuff like that. And I think it's a Bargain Mart down that way. We're going to go to Bargain Mart if it's down there. I don't know. Come on. I'm just now leaving out of Target. They didn't have anything in there I wanted. Absolutely nothing. I went to the candle section. I'm not paying $40 for a candle. I don't care how big it is. Depending on, now, if it was huge, gigantic, as tall as me, of course, I give you $40. But this was just a regular, this tall, this big, this tall, a regular candle, this tall. Somewhere like that. They didn't have nothing in there I wanted. The Bargain Mart is closed. So I'm on my way to Goodwill. I'm going to go to the Goodwill and see what they have. Probably not candles. Probably like fall decor and stuff. Yeah. So let's go see what they got. Okay, so I tried Goodwill. Nothing. It was a Gabe's down that way. But Gabe's are always crowded. Not crowded with people, but their aisles and stuff are always full. I don't want to do no Gabe's. I even went in the shoe department. They have some cute shoes and stuff, but none of them in my size. So now I am at KFC, and I heard KFC got some chicken gizzards, so I'm gonna try out those chicken gizzards. Yeah, I had some yesterday, but they got gone too fast. But okay, y'all. Well, I went into the KFC to get the chicken gizzards. They didn't even have none. Maybe it's just that location because it was a KFC mixed with the Taco Bell. So maybe they just didn't have them. I don't know. So I ended up getting the chicken wings, the hot chicken wings with the wedges. I really wanted the gizzards, but I wasn't going nowhere else, so I just ended up getting this. But we're going to do like we did yesterday. Listen to a podcast while I eat my food. Alright. Tune in.
Our escapes. Something that takes our mind off the real world and allows us to be somewhere or someone else for a little while. For me, that's Fortnite. For others, it's golf, painting, going out with friends. Most of the time, those escapes can be a healthy reset, a way to recharge and find some peace, especially in the mundane routines of everyday life. But when you're not careful, some escapes can be all-consuming. They can lead us down a dark path with no way to see the light. And when a person is that far gone, there's usually collateral damage. And sometimes, those standing in the blast zone don't even see it coming. So today, we are headed to Pleasanton, California, about a 50-minute drive east from San Francisco. It is the year 2008, and that is where 57-year-old Charlene Abendroth and her husband, 60-year-old Ernest Shearer, are slowing down their lives and getting ready for retirement. Now, 57-year-old Sherry and 60-year-old Ernie, as their friends called them, met back in the 1970s and actually married in 1976. Now, people described this couple, Sherry and Ernie, as having big personalities, a lot of energy. Friends said Sherry was well-spoken and well-educated, which made sense considering that she was actually a respected accounting lecturer at Cal State East Bay for 3 decades. And at the same time in her life, she dedicated a lot of her time to the Mormon Church, which she was a member of. However, Ernie, her husband, was not a Mormon, but he supported Sherry's passion for the church and would often go with her and their kids to church anyways.
Okay.
But Ernie seemed to focus mainly on the kids and work. He actually made good money in the real estate business, and at the same time, he was heavily involved in local politics and had actually become a member of the school board where the couple raised their children in the earlier years before moving to Pleasanton. Now, as they're older, they were living in a community called Castlewood. It's an exclusive neighborhood with its own country club and golf course full of basically multi-million-dollar homes.
I was gonna say, sounds nice. Castlewood.
So by 2008, the couple's 2 children are now grown and adults. 29-year-old Ernest Jr., who everyone called Skip, and his younger sister, Catherine, both of whom now actually had families of their own. And while Sherry definitely worked hard to instill a lot of the Mormon values in her kids, friends and family said they were also a very tight-knit family. Sherry and Ernie were very generous and supportive whenever it came to what the kids wanted to do. Ernie encouraged them to follow their passions, even coached Skip's soccer team and Catherine's basketball team. Also, this family of 4 loved to travel together. Sherry was really big into the outdoors. She loved hiking, so the family spent every Memorial Day going to Yosemite and would take lavish vacations for 3 weeks every summer. Now, this is something that even continued when the family expanded with spouses and grandchildren. In fact, in March of 2008, the couple was planning to go with their kids, Skip and Catherine, and their families on a big family trip to Hawaii. And they were locking in last-minute details with a flight out on March 15th, 2008.
Okay.
Now, a few days before that, on March 7th, Ernie and Sherry, the parents, went out and met another couple for dinner at the country club's restaurant in their neighborhood. They left around 6:30 p.m. from dinner and headed home, getting into their pajamas, ready to call it an early night. But the following morning, Catherine called her parents, and there was no answer. So Catherine calls again the day after that, March 9th, and there's still no answer or call back. The same goes for the following day, and now their daughter is starting to get worried because this family is due to leave for Hawaii in just a few days, and her parents aren't answering anyone's calls.
Okay, a little strange, yeah.
So she calls her brother Skip. She's like, hey, have you heard from mom and dad? And Skip says, no. So by March 14th, a day before everyone is supposed to leave, with still no answer from Ernie or Sherry, Catherine calls someone over at their local country club. She says, hey, can you just drive over to my parents' house and do a wellness check? They're not answering our calls. So the employee heads over to the house. They knock on the door. No one answers. And then the employee's like, well, let me just peek inside the windows. And that's when...
The police don't want you to know this, but the reason we always ask for your insurance first
Shut
before
up.
your registration
Shut up.
is because we know.
he sees Ernie lying face down on the floor in a pool of blood.
Oh my gosh. Imagine being that employee.
Right. So he looks through the window. He's like, oh, okay. So he calls the police. And when they arrive, obviously they find it is not just Ernie. Sherry, his wife, has been killed as well. And both of their bodies had already started the decomposition process, which means they had been dead for a few days now.
Okay.
Investigators realized pretty quickly that the Shearers were bludgeoned to death in their own home. And then whoever had killed them used a different weapon to slit their throats and
gosh.
their wrists. Now, Ernie had suffered multiple blunt force trauma wounds to his head, while Sherry had more than 20 wounds to her head.
Holy crap.
Her face was nearly unrecognizable. I want you to remember, this couple is almost 60.
Yeah.
Okay? Ernie had appeared to fight so hard against his attacker that his wedding ring had flew off. However, there was no weapon left behind at the scene, and there also didn't appear to be any signs of forced entry. But there was one unusual detail at the crime scene that was left by the killer. It was a few sets of bloody shoe prints. But something about them sounds the alarm for detectives right away because they don't look natural. It almost looks like someone had almost like methodically placed these bloody shoe prints.
Yeah.
They're almost stamped on the tile
almost
floor.
like too perfect.
Yeah, there's no sign of smearing or like if you're
Mhm.
walking, you know. But police do discover it's a size 12 Nike shoe, and one set actually leads to a linen closet that has a collection of decorative swords.
Okay, so obviously set up. I mean, I assume.
Police actually, though, quickly rule out that any of these swords were used in the murders.
Yeah.
However, they do learn later that there is one sword missing from the collection. That's really the only thing that appears to have been taken from the house. Now, the home had definitely been sifted through.
My
it was
food
a mess.
nasty,
there were things
bruh.
all over the place, but there
My chicken
wasn't
nasty,
really
bruh.
anything of value missing, including the $750 in Ernie's wallet and the $9,000 in cash that Ernie kept in his bedroom. And the objects that had been thrown about in the house, again, almost appeared staged.
Yeah.
Like things were purposely knocked over, but then the thing next to it was standing, which wouldn't make sense if everything had been hit. Like someone intentionally tried to make this look like a break-in robbery when it wasn't. Which is why police quickly rule this out and instead wonder, was this someone that the couple knew? Like there obviously has to be a different motive. And that's when the police learn that Ernie had a little hobby he had picked up over the years. One that had helped him unwind and sort of escape daily life. Ernie was a pretty big poker player. It wasn't anything too serious. The games mostly rotated around some other local dads' homes. Other guys he met while coaching Skip's soccer team back in the day. And apparently, he did have a tendency to brag about his winnings and be flashy with his cash from the winnings from time to time. In fact, the day police think he died on March 17th, Ernie had played poker and won that cash that was in his wallet. He had also had a game planned for the night of March 14th. This is the night he was actually found, which was supposed to be hosted at his house.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, I mean, it can't be that much money. It can't be like he's winning hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's just playing with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would seem weird for someone to kill him over, I don't know, $5,000, whatever it might be.
Right. Actually, the night that they are found dead, one of the other poker players shows up to Ernie's house. He hadn't heard the news about the murders.
Oh, that's sad.
And he's like, oh my gosh, this place is covered in police. There's
Yeah.
police tape. So investigators begin to wonder, okay, if the motive wasn't robbery, maybe there was like gambling debt or something. Did someone follow him home after that last game? Well, it turns out this wasn't the only thing in Ernie's life that might have earned him an enemy. Earlier, I mentioned how Ernie was on the school board back at his kid's old district in a completely different place. Well, apparently he was not very well liked during his time on the school board. He was kind of the outcast of the group in a way that he was one of the outliers who always voted against the majority on things. In fact, he was apparently so confrontational that he was eventually kicked off the school board in 1990. Some said that it was because he refused to negotiate with the teachers union when they went on strike. Whether or not that was true, it was something Ernie never let go of. He was bitter about it. Feeling defeated and embarrassed, he continued to fight the school board on things after being kicked off. And he was scheduling a meeting back then to speak with the local mayor, H. Abram Wilson, about corruption on the school board right before he died. So he was still involved in this.
That would be wild if he was killed over a school board issue. That would be insane.
Well, that meeting was set to take place that March 2008. But just a few days before that meeting, Ernie was found dead.
Especially so gruesome. Like, there's no way.
So police also wondered if perhaps Ernie had made an enemy through his real estate investment business. They're basically combing through Ernie's life and saying, where could he have met someone who wanted to murder? Maybe also wondering if he met someone with his backing of the Republic political party when he was involved in politics. He did financially support some of those candidates. So for the next few weeks, police follow every single one of these leads. The poker, the politics, the school board, his real estate business. But they don't turn up a single person of interest. Which is when investigators start pursuing a new angle. One no one really ever imagined. That maybe Sherry and Ernie's killer was someone much closer to home.
I was just thinking, I would not be surprised if for some reason, don't know the reason yet, it's someone in the family.
So let's talk about Skip, their son, or rather, Ernest Shearer III. This is Sherry and Ernie's now 29-year-old son. At the time of the murders, Ernie Jr. is living with his wife, Robin, who he had met while studying economics at Brigham Young University in Utah.
Yeah.
They also have a young son at the time who's about 3 years old. Now, growing up, Skip, Ernie Jr., seemed like a pretty well-rounded kid. He was heavily involved in sports. He was an Eagle Scout. He was an active participant in the Mormon church, thanks to his mother. But there was one hobby Skip picked up from his dad that sort of kind of put him on the wrong path early on. And that was poker. What started as just a hobby like his dad soon actually became a full-time dedication for Skip. He eventually quit his job in the mortgage business to pursue life as a poker player full-time. Now, of course, everyone in Skip's life was more than a little hesitant about this career change. His mother, Sherry, was particularly vocal about how she did not want him to do this. It felt dangerous, but Skip did seem to do okay for a while. He, in 1 year, made $100,000 playing poker professionally.
Well, good for him.
He also played in the World Series of Poker, so this was very serious for Skip. He was even traveling around the country playing in tournaments. But that obviously meant leaving his wife Robin and their young son behind, where they had moved to California.
I'm about to go get some boba.
Now, playing poker isn't grounds to think that someone's a murderer, obviously.
My food was nasty.
So police
Might as well.
don't exactly see this as a red flag when they're looking into him, but they do find Skip's behavior suspicious.
I got my boba, y'all. Yeah. So I really don't know which one I want. So I'm going to let Mello decide which one she want first. And I'm going to take the one she don't want. Yeah. But, she getting me some Chick-fil-A. I don't ever eat Chick-fil-A. But she getting me some chicken nuggets and a milkshake. All right. Well, guess we'll tune back in to the podcast.
Suspicious after the murders. Apparently, when his sister called him that day to say, hey, I know you said you hadn't heard from mom and dad. Well, I sent someone over to the house to check on them, and they were murdered. Apparently, according to his sister, he acted a bit strange. He sort of paused and then said, oh no, what are we gonna do? Now...
Oh no. What are we gonna do?
Obviously, he might be in shock, so...
No, that's wild behavior.
Take it with a grain of salt. Odd, but it didn't end there. Less than 24 hours after the murders, Skip was asking to get inside of his parents' home, like in the crime scene, so he could find their will. And then, that same evening, instead of mourning his parents with his family, Skip actually went to San Francisco to have a very expensive meal at a fancy restaurant. So he's like, oh yeah, let's go out to eat. The whole thing is pretty alarming to police, not to mention everyone else in the family. Pretty much everyone they had looked into so far in the family had solid alibis, except for Skip. He said at the time of the murders, he was at his house in Brea, California, which is about 7 hours away from his parents' home in California. He's like, no, I was way far away, fast asleep. And his wife, Robin, was actually away visiting family with their son. So he wasn't asleep in bed with his wife, who could vouch for him. He was asleep alone at his house. So 4 days after the murders, police decide to bring Skip in for questioning. And he seems pretty cooperative, happy to answer their questions. He even offers to let them look at his cell and credit card data so they could see his movements. Problem is, there's a big 17-hour gap of time where there is absolutely no activity on any of his accounts or his cell phone. 17 hours, a 17-hour window that the police believe actually matches the time his parents were murdered.
I'm trying to figure out, I know we'll get to it, like why. He's got to be in some gambling debt or something. It's got to be something around that. Has to be.
Murder your parents.
Murdering your parents is...
to pay for gambling
like
debt.
one of the craziest things. Every episode we do is crazy, but murdering your parents has got to be up there as just downright evil. Like I think we've covered a couple other cases where kids have murdered their parents. It always shocks me. It's mind-blowing that you could do that.
So, despite all of this, police still let Skip go that day, and they're like, we're just going to keep looking into him. Meanwhile, other people are starting to notice Skip's odd behavior around this time. For example, at the funeral, Skip was one of the pallbearers, so he was carrying one of the caskets. And despite that, he doesn't show any emotion during the ceremony. And while that's happening, police end up finding something else that proves Skip might not be the person everyone thinks he is. Because apparently, he's not just playing poker when he goes out of town, he's also having multiple extramarital affairs.
Yeah.
They're not just one-night stands.
Yeah.
Like,
Prostitutes?
he has women in different cities that he plays poker in that he's having full-blown relationships with.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So it turns out 2 years prior, back in 2006, Skip had met a woman named Adrienne Solomon while they were both in Vegas. And Adrienne was visiting from North Carolina and was there on business trip when she sat down at a craps table next to Skip. Now, noticing that he didn't have a wedding ring on his finger, despite the fact he was married at the time, Adrienne entertained the flirtatious conversation, and the two ended up spending the next few days together. Now, when Adrienne went back to North Carolina, the two stay in touch, often meeting back up in Vegas whenever Skip was going there to play poker. She claimed Skip never mentioned he had a wife or a son, and it was certainly alluring that he was getting all types of comped rooms and perks at the casino for being a professional poker player. But things get even more serious from there. They start talking about a future together. Skip even took her to Tiffany's to look at engagement rings.
Tiffany's.
Keep in mind, she says she has no idea he's already married. They began taking exotic vacations where they would be away for weeks at a time.
Holy crap, dude.
Now, eventually,
A freak, man?
Adrienne begins noticing things about Skip that do seem like red flags the more she's able to spend time in person with him. When they started dating, his betting was small, $50 or $75. But as time went on, she watched him betting more and losing more, $500 a bet. And that just didn't sit right with Adrienne. I'm not totally sure how their love story came to an end, but I do know eventually Skip moves on to another woman, including someone named Pamela Nichols, who he also met in Vegas, although this time through Craigslist. In fact, she was about to go on her third date with Skip the night his parents were found, and he had called her to say his parents' bodies were just found after a violent break-in and he needed to cancel their dinner.
Okay.
Pamela thought this was strange because Skip didn't sound that upset that his parents were murdered.
Also, Craigslist. Come on.
And she wondered why he was so worried about canceling their dinner when his parents had just died. What police later learned was, like I had just said, Skip had called Pamela before he had even called his own wife, Robin, to tell her about his parents' murder.
This guy murdered his parents.
Apparently, Robin was actually pretty in the dark about her husband's secret affairs, believing every time he left it was to go to poker tournaments.
Oh man, dude.
It wasn't until police actually informed her of this that she learned Skip had been hiding a lot of things during their marriage. Secret credit cards, P.O. boxes. He was actually sometimes going by an alternate identity of Bill Franks.
Bro, how could you, being this betrayed, I don't know how you could ever trust someone again. That would be
It's a whole
so
lie.
hard. Like that, there's so many layers to that, I can't even imagine.
So detectives start digging deeper into Skip's finances once they learn about this secret life he's been living, because they're looking for a motive. And this is what they learned. Skip had recently borrowed about $600,000 from his dad to help pay for a new house.
Okay.
Well, $600,000 for the new house, some gambling debts, and expensive gifts for his side girlfriends he was love bombing. Now, his wife Robin knew about the loan. She said the plan was to pay her in-laws back close to $4,000 every month until they could settle up. And while Ernie Sr. was happy to hand over the money, Sherry felt differently. She already hated that Skip had quit his stable job to play poker, and she felt like her husband giving him the loan was just enabling him.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if I could That's a lot of money to borrow, first of all. $600,000 is a ton of money.
Facts.
And borrowing it from your parents would be hard.
My
Like,
mama let me borrow $600,000.
family
I'm
money
not borrowing it.
Doesn't mix well.
I ain't giving that back. That'll take a lifetime.
Disdain for Skip's current profession. He was aware of it, but it didn't seem like the loan actually helped him much, because when police looked into Skip's current finances, they found that he owed more than $40,000 in credit card debt and $90,000 in gambling debt.
Bro, what did he do with all the money?
Robin also told police that they were having a hard time making ends meet, which means Skip probably had spent the entirety of
Gambling.
the loan. Yeah.
I bet you majority of it just wasted away gambling.
Now, then 2008 rolls along, the housing market starts to take a downturn. Suddenly, Skip's parents want their money back because, if you remember, Skip's father is in real estate, and police suspected that's when Skip panicked. And maybe that's when he began looking for an alternate solution.
Why so brutal, though? Like, why, the way he did it, the brutality doesn't make sense. I can comprehend the motive behind, like, the killing part, but the way he did it, that part I don't comprehend. There must have been a lot of anger. Like, what's going on?
So police looked to see if there's anything besides getting out of debt that he could gain from killing his parents, and they discovered that in the will that Skip was looking for, there was a line that said Skip would get $2 million in the event of his parents' death.
Wow.
This is a payout that wouldn't be given to him until he turned 30, which at this point is just a few months away. So now the police have motive to get out of debt and motive to make money, but the evidence itself is mostly circumstantial. That wasn't until about a week after the murders when they find some surveillance footage that kicks the investigation into high gear. So the country club in the Shearers community has plenty of security cameras, and there's one that actually points out towards the street leading to their home. So police get this footage, and after hours of watching it, they spot a red convertible with a black soft top entering the community around 8:27 p.m. on March 7th. This is the night the couple was killed. And then it left that street 4 hours later. And do you know who owns a red convertible Camaro?
Yeah, I do.
Skip. Which is why the police go scrambling at this point to get a search warrant for that vehicle, because they're like, if he killed them and then got in the vehicle, maybe there's blood or evidence or something. They get the search warrant, they go through the vehicle, and they find nothing, because Skip had cleaned it thoroughly a day or two after the murders.
Wow.
And remember how I mentioned Skip had given the police his phone to look at the data, and that there was 17 hours of time that nothing happened on it?
He deleted a bunch of stuff?
Well, police made the drive from the Shearers back to Ernie's house in Brea. Now, it's both California, but it is very far away. They leave at the exact same time that his car pulled out, and they found Skip's phone turned back on at exactly the amount of time it took for the police to make that drive back to his house.
Dedication to make that drive, because that sucks.
But there was one other detail that police were looking for. If you recall, at the crime scene...
Hey, girl! What is it? Okay. Surprise.
That's what I was about to say.
You want this one?
Is this boba?
Yeah.
Peach.
Or do you want this one? I got this one for her. Then I was like, but I ain't got strawberry on top of strawberry. So that's why I'm eager to try this one.
Gotcha.
All right. This is pretty good. This one is peach with leche popping boba. I'm gonna try this one.
It's tapioca.
There, you got regular boba, tapioca boba, and poppin' boba.
Oh, okay, so that would explain why I got the jelly tasting one. And I was like, wasn't they just popping?
This is pretty good.
Both of them are. Which one you want?
I don't know. Which one you want?
Originally got do you want strawberry on top of strawberry or what? Both of them good. Don't matter with me.
I like the boba.
I do too.
I can't decide.
We'll switch back and forth.
Alright, y'all. So I had ended up going to the so y'all already know about that. I ended up going to Dollar General to get some stuff out of Dollar General. They didn't have nothing. Nothing I wanted. Absolutely nothing. So then, I was like, okay, one last thing. Let me just try Dollar Tree. Tried Dollar Tree. And I just should have known it's Dollar Tree. Like, it's never going to disappoint when it comes to decor and stuff. So, I got this. And this. I'm going to play around with it for a little bit till I see how we're going to do this, because I don't know. Alright, y'all. So, I went to Dollar Tree, got a whole lot of stuff and everything. And this is how the arrangement turned out after I got everything situated. Now, over here on my other wall, I also have an arrangement over here. So, let's come on over here to see how this arrangement looks. Plus, just in case y'all can't tell, I got a ring light now. Alright, and this is my little accent wall. That's what this one is looking like. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. Yeah. I'm going to take y'all and show y'all how outside look. So, we don't have a wreath on the door, but we're going to get one. We got this side. And we got that little mat. So my ring light, I got this off that little auction site I be on. And I'm just so excited. This light was originally $200 some, but I got it for $12. Yeah. So, yeah. Good morning, y'all. So it is another day in the vlog. Welcome and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all, so yeah, I woke up this morning I came in the living room and like I was just, I don't know, I just felt so peaceful like walking in there seeing my arrangement how they were. Lit my candle and everything. Like, yeah. I don't know what I'm doing today either. So I don't know. Do I gotta work today? I don't know. I don't know. Just stay tuned. I also know I don't work today. So we headed to Carolina Mall again. What's in Carolina Mall, y'all? Jade Express. You already know I gotta get my orange chicken. When I'm craving it, bruh, I got to get it. And I will only get it from them. If I go to a Chinese restaurant, I will never order orange chicken. Ever. You know why? Because I tried it one time. When I went to Vegas for my birthday. I was like, I'm gonna get the Jade Express. I'm gonna get some, I don't know what they had. They had orange chicken. I was like, I'm gonna try it. I tried it. I didn't like it. So then I gave it another try with somebody else. And then it tasted the same exact same. I was like, bro, I don't like this. So, yeah, that's how I know I don't like it. Because I tried it, the real kind before. I don't like it. Yeah, that was a lot. Okay. I need a break now. Welcome to the channel, y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell. Tune in with me when you can. All right, bye. So I'm not sure what this place is, but they had baklava. She don't have it up here right now, but she did. And it was filled with cream, so I got it. But I didn't see these down here, so I am gonna ask about those too. My camera is blurry and I'm not going to redo this footage, but this is what my baklava looks like with cream. When I get in the car on my iPad, I'll be able to show y'all better footage. Y'all, so I'm back in the car now. Got my baklava. It's cold. Like I wasn't expecting it to be cold. You want some?
Yeah,
it's like a pastry. It's a
soft.
It's pretty good. I never had it with cream. Wait a minute. Y'all know how like when you smell the Arabic smells, you know it's them? This has a taste I've never had before. It's real subtle. It's real soft. I've never tasted this before. You taste what I'm tasting?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Although it's soft, it's still kind of strong. But, okay. I'm ready to go home so I can eat my Jade Express. I'm going to take one more bite so I can really see if it's even all that good, I'm saying.
It's giving me that, what that thing did the other day for some reason.
Alright, y'all, I got my food and I'm about to call it a night. Don't forget, if you ever go to Jade Express, get the orange chicken. Bye. Tristan. Tristan. He in the bathroom. Make sure you get the dishes clear so we can get a pre-trash roll done. Damn, that tow truck still out there? That truck up the road. To the back, please. Be careful. Alrighty, y'all. So this is the last week of the vlog. Oh God, I'm tired, y'all. But this is the last week for the vlog. After this, I am about to go ahead and upload it. Yeah. And just watch it. Just watch it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell. Stay tuned with me, and down below in the description, good Lord, I put my booking information and everything down below just in case you want to send me a birthday gift. My birthday is October 12th, but I am boarding the Carnival Conquest on October 13th, leaving out of Miami, Florida, y'all. So the countdown really begins. It really, really begins. We have 5 days left. 5 days left. 5 days left and I ain't got no outfit. 5 days left and I ain't got no shoes. 5 days left and I don't know what I'm gonna pack. 5 days left and I ain't got no suitcase packed. 5 days left and I still got 4 days left for work. 5 days left and I'm just like, oh God, I'm just so ready to go.